So you're thinking about moving to Lubbock, Texas, and you're curious about the weather. You may have heard from a friend that the Lubbock weather is crazy, or you may have seen in another video of mine where I said the Lubbock weather is bipolar. And you are right. The Lubbock weather is super hard to understand if you don't live in West Texas. So I wanted to create a permanent video on the channel so that way you can go back and reference what the weather is truly like here in Lubbock, Texas. And we're gonna get after it right now. If this is your first time on the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Lubbock, Texas, well then be sure to tap that bell and hit that subscribe button so that you can be the first to know about all things happening in Lubbock, Texas. I get calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move in Lubbock, Texas, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days or maybe even 9 months, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or schedule a Zoom call, whatever is easier for you and your family, and I'd love the opportunity to help you make a smooth transition into the Lubbock area. I'm Sam Riddle, a local real estate agent here in the Lubbock area, and as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about all things weather in this video today. And stick around until the end because I'm going to give you some tips and tricks for best practices during some of the months here in Lubbock, and then also too when it would be the best time for you to plan a visit into Lubbock so that way you can enjoy the amenities that we have to offer without being stuck in a hotel room because it's either A, too cold or B, too hot. So like I said, let's get started. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is just some general facts about the Lubbock weather. So Lubbock is situated in the South Plains region of Texas, which means we're in a semi-arid climate, which means we experience a lot of sunshine and low humidity. And if you've ever been to Lubbock, you know what I'm talking about when I say low humidity. It is a very, very dry city. However, with that being said, the thing that I think is special about Lubbock, and you may choose to agree or disagree, but is that we do sometimes, usually, more often than not, experience all 4 seasons in one day. In a 24-hour period, we can experience all 4 seasons. And I think that is sometimes crazy because it's very hard to dress for. Always keep a jacket in your car during the spring and winter-ish months. But also too, it's just so funny. You know, I think that it's just something to laugh about because it is such a diverse temperature or diverse climate here in Lubbock. And so you just prepare for the unexpected, you know. Also too, the average rainfall here in Lubbock is around 19 inches a year, which is very little compared to other parts of Texas. Not to mention, because Lubbock used to not get a ton of rain. We have since been getting a lot of rain, and so they're having to do a lot of reconstruction and of the major highways here in Lubbock or the major streets here in Lubbock to accommodate the rainfall, because right now sometimes it floods in certain areas of the town and it is almost impossible to drive through. I mean, there's cars that get stuck all the time, cars that get flooded, especially if you're in a low vehicle. So whenever we do get rain, the city is working on fixing that way we have more drainage here on the streets of Lubbock. So we also get a very hot summer and a very cold winter. Now, the average temperature for July, which is the hottest month of the year here in Lubbock, is around 93 degrees. Now, that might not seem very hot, depending on where you're coming from, but I would say it gets hot. I mean, it gets a lot hotter than 93. I think, you know, during just the summer months, yes, they're taking in an average of all summer or of all the days of the summer months, but I would say at least 60 days of the summer. For sure, 30 days of the summer, you're going to be in the upper hundreds. I mean, it's going to be weeks on end where it doesn't even break from 100, especially the last couple of years. It gets hot. And then also in the cold, I will say it is very dry heat. So it's not that humid heat that you feel down in maybe the Galveston area, but it also is a very dry cold. And so whenever we do get rain up here in the winter months, it does obviously turn into snow. The low temperature on average is around 50 degrees. Now, I will say we get into some low digits. I mean, we get into the teens, we get into the single digits. So it does get cold here. And I'll talk about the snowfall here a little bit later on, but just wanted to give you a little backstory on the temperatures between the summer months and then also the winter months. And like I said, the winter months are also going to be very, very dry. So you won't need humidifiers. It is dry, very similar to the Colorado feel in the wintertime. If you've ever been to Colorado and stayed in the snow, you've gone skiing or whatever, in the winter months, you typically need a humidifier. You always find a humidifier in the Airbnbs in Colorado. So it's very similar climate to that in the winter months. So let's talk about summer here in Lubbock. Summer in Lubbock, as I mentioned, it gets hot. And so we might experience prolonged weeks or a prolonged period of time to where it does not break 100. And so preparing for that is definitely crucial. If you are not wanting to be in a hot climate, in a very dry heat, then Lubbock may not be for you because it is going to be hot and dry. I mean, it sometimes rains. I mean, this summer we've had some rainstorms here and there, but it's going to be hot and dry. So prepare for a warm summer. I want to talk about some things to do during the summer. Summer is a very fun time. It's not the most fun time because football season, of course. But summer here in Lubbock, it is not boring. There are things to do. The city of Lubbock puts on and hosts a number of events. A lot of venues host events. And so there's always something to do if you're looking for a live music or beer and wine festivals or family-friendly events or being outside or art trails. I mean, there are tons of things to do in the summer months. You just have to know where to find the itineraries for the events that are going on in Lubbock. And I will give you some ideas as to what some of those things are. So that way, if you are wanting to come in the summer months, you can plan to come to some of these events that we host annually. So for music and live performing arts, you can go to the Buddy Holly Center or the Cactus Theater, and then also Cook's Garage. For beer and wine festivities, you can go to Party on the Patio at Thirsty Gardens. You can go to McPherson Cellars. You can go to Llano Estacado. And I wanted to say McPherson Cellars is a nationally recognized winery here in Lubbock, and it provides a lot of the wine that you may see out in the Dallas area and out in Fredericksburg. They do provide a lot of the grapes in Fredericksburg, so McPherson is a very popular winery that I do encourage you to go check out. And then for family-friendly events, you can check out Moonlight Musical Amphitheater, the Landmark After Dark, which is a place where you can go and essentially explore the landmark at nighttime and have a tour guide and they kind of show you what to do and what to look for. And then also the music shows at the Park and Tech Terrace. There are music shows just at little different parks around Lubbock. And so there are definitely some things just sprinkled in here and there on weekdays that if you are wanting to just kind of pop in and just take the kiddos, enjoy a nice walk in the park, then you can listen to some live music. So those are just a few examples of some things that you can look for or expect here in the summer months, depending on if you're looking for art festivals, beer and wine, or just some fun family-friendly events. I wanted to also say the farmers market, you can never go wrong with the farmers market. The farmers market is year-round though, so they will have it rain or shine, cold, snow, or sunshine. So you can definitely expect that. I would say it's obviously more fun in the summer months because you're not having to be bundled up and just freezing cold outside. But now let's move into fall. So fall may be one of my favorite seasons here in Lubbock because I mean, Texas Tech football is in full swing in the fall, and that is when this town comes to life. And if you haven't been to a Texas Tech football game and you want to visit Lubbock, I highly, highly encourage you to come to a football game here at the Jones Stadium. We may not be the best football team in the state. I mean, well, I know that, in the country, but it is still really fun. I mean, the Red Raiders, we come out, we support them, and win or lose, we're still having a good time at the Jones. And speaking of football season, it's so funny because in the fall, we start out the season going to football games, sweating in tank tops and shorts. And by the end of the season, we are bundled up. We have parkas, scarves, hats, hand warmers. Anything you could think of to get warm, you will be wearing it because it gets cold at the last half of the football season. In the last 2 years, we have been able to make it to a ball game, which means the season is extended a little bit longer. So hopefully this season we are able to also make another ball game. But it is just funny because you will be super hot in the beginning and then freezing cold at the end, which I'm pretty sure is like that in most other cities. But here in Lubbock, it gets cold during football season. I mean, it snows a lot. I say a lot. It has snowed a few games, and it's icy and chilly. So wanted to talk about the temperatures for the fall. So the temperatures do drastically decrease in the fall, and we're looking around around 30-degree temperature difference between the fall and the summer. We are at around 88 degrees during the day, no cooler than 60 degrees during the day. And then for nighttime, you're not going to experience anything lower than around 45 degrees for nighttime temperatures. And then also too, during the day, you're not going to really go over 95. We are in September right now at the time of this video, and the highs are going to be around 80 to 90. So it just kind of is fluctuating, but we really shouldn't be hitting that over 95 degrees during the fall. The low temperatures here are going to be around 66 to 35 degrees. Like I mentioned, we really shouldn't be getting lower than 65 degrees here really any time during the day. I mean, sometimes during the night we're at around 60 degrees. Like right now we're at around 60, but it's not really getting any cooler than that. You might have a few just off days or rare occurrences where it does get lower than that, but that's kind of what you can expect during the fall months. It's a very desert climate, so pretty much it gets hot during the day and then very cold at night, which is great because I love sleeping in the cold at night, and the temperatures in the house during the summer are just so hot. So I love the fall, not only for football, but also because I love the temperature break. So obviously football games are something to do in the fall here in Lubbock, but also too, a lot of the things that I had talked about for the summer are also still going on. There's continuing to be concerts and events, live music. Also, the beer and wine festivities do not end yet. So they're going to continue on into the fall. They're going to continue on raising money for the First Friday Art Trail is also happening, which is obviously the first Friday of every month. There's an art trail downtown. So farmers market will still be happening. So there are some things still to do in the fall. If there is an off game or if there is an away game and you still want to be outside and still have something to do. If we play in the evening, you can go out to the bars. Again, there's not a lack of things to do if you are here in the fall as well. So now let's talk about winter here in Lubbock. Now the winter here in Lubbock is not going to be as drastic as you might find in some of the northeastern states. It's not going to just dump snow all the time, but we are going to have some very freezing temperatures. The weather in winter can be unpredictable. And so we might have a very cold winter. We might have some storms that blow through, or we experience a very cold winter, or we might just have a very mild winter. Honestly, I never want to say that it's always going to be freezing or we're going to have a mild winter because it truly does fluctuate. We do see a lot of winters have it very, very cold like a couple of years ago, or we see some mild winters like last year was pretty mild. So this year, I have a feeling that we're going to be a pretty cold winter. We're already starting to see signs of that, and a lot of the weather meteorologists also think the same. And old wise tales of things going on here in Lubbock, a lot of the farmers think that too. So we might have a pretty crazy winter this winter, but who knows? So we get an average of around 8 inches of snow per year. And when I say that Lubbock is experiencing a very cold winter, we do see temperatures in the teens and in the single digits. Last year, I do remember there were some 8-degree, 9-degree days there for a week period of time. So typically every winter, you are going to see some low single digits and then also some teens. When I say it's going to be a very harsh winter, I just mean there might be a little bit more snow than usual. It might just be colder for longer, maybe in the 30s or 40s, and never getting above that below freezing temperature. So it really just depends. But also in the winter, Lubbock is not built to be a snow town, so it's not like Colorado where the streets are heated or anything, but we do the best as we can. Sometimes they are able to salt the roads if we know that there's a big storm coming. It might happen overnight and they'll close down Marshall Sharp, and the only way to get to places is through, Indiana, Quaker Slide, those north and south, east, or north and south running streets or east to west running streets. So it just really depends on the year, and it really won't get above the 50, 60-degree temperatures in the wintertime. It gets cold. So if you are not wanting to be in the snow or in a cold environment during the winter months, then Lubbock, again, might not be the best move for you. And again, it is a very dry cold, so humidifiers on full blast. So now let's talk about spring. Spring in Lubbock is probably my least favorite time to be here in Lubbock. I mean, it is so dusty. That is when you will experience the high winds, wind every single day. Normally the wind is blowing around 12 to 15 miles an hour, and that's on a good day, with gusts up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. I mean, I don't think that it gets talked about as much on the news because it's just kind of expected, you know. I think in Austin, if it's a windy day, it's, you know, the whole town might shut down because it gets up to gusts up to 50 or something. But here in Lubbock, I mean, that's pretty standard. We see winds up to 50 to 60 miles per hour, 70, 80 miles per hour. So, I mean, it's windy. That explains the dust. So the dust, obviously, I mean, we have a lot of farmland around here. So when the wind picks up, the dust is in the air, and we're gonna have what's called haboobs, and it's gonna essentially just make the town brown. So windy spring is just not my favorite time of the year here in Lubbock. As far as the temperature goes, I mean, it kind of fluctuates because spring, you know, is such a just transition month here in Lubbock, and so you can expect the highs of around 75 degrees. I mean, it's pretty decent around temperature-wise here in the spring. I mean, March and April are pretty cold, I would say. I mean, last year, March, it really, you know, it was cold. And so you're gonna expect, you know, around 50 to 60s, sometimes 70s, you know, up in the April and May. And then also too, the lows are gonna be around the 40s, sometimes 30s, and at night, sometimes maybe during the day here and there, but really at night. And then it'll obviously start increasing once you hit that May mark. Also wanted to talk about the extreme weather here in Lubbock during the spring. This is also where you're gonna see not only the dust storms, but also the highest chance for hail and tornadoes. It hails a lot in the spring months, and there's also the highest chance of tornadoes here in the spring months. Especially, I know I did a video about the tornadoes here in Lubbock, and so, I mean, with the high temperatures and then the influx of cold temperatures, it is just a tornado waiting to happen. So, or hail waiting to happen. And so if you don't have a garage, you know, that is something to look into. I always recommend, if you are scared or don't want your car to be hailed on, to get a house with a garage or an overhang or something like that, because we do have a lot of hail during the spring months here in Lubbock. One thing I wanted to know, and I've kind of said this before, but I think the most drastic change in temperature is going to be between the spring and the fall transition. I mean, that's when we're going to see days of 30 to 40 degrees, maybe even 20-degree temperatures to 70 to 80-degree temperatures. You know, that's going to be that's how drastic it is here in Lubbock during those periods of times here. So that is also why I say the best time to come is in the fall for football, because I say before October. Before October is still pretty, like September is probably the best month to come and visit Lubbock, in my opinion. I think that is such a great and wonderful time to visit, or the beginning of October. We'll start seeing cooler temperatures come around the end of October, and then we'll kind of get back up in the 70s, 80s, and then cool back down towards November. So, I mean, again, drastic temperatures in the spring and in the fall. Sometimes temperatures can swing between 30 degrees or more in a single day, especially during those transition months, which is a huge difference. Also, I wanted to talk about the random facts here in Lubbock, about some random weather facts if you're curious. The highest temperature recorded here in Lubbock was around 114 degrees, and the lowest is -17. That's cold. I haven't seen it like that in a very long time. I mean, that's been years and years and years. But to say it has gotten cold like that in the past, and 114, I mean, it's probably in the last couple of years when it was so hot last year in 2023. But that's kind of what to expect, and just some random facts there. Also, too, just some tips and tricks to what to pack for whenever you come to Lubbock, especially if you're coming during those transition months. Always pack a jacket, or that way you can layer on and layer off if you are coming during those transition months. Some pants wouldn't be the worst idea. And then also too, the best time to come, like I said, I think would be between September and early October. It doesn't give you very much time, but also the summer months. I mean, between July is gonna be the hottest, but May to June, June and July, I think, are also a really great time to come and visit Lubbock, also into August. So June, July, August, September, I mean, I think you couldn't go wrong with those 4 months. Just September is just going to be, you're going to have a break from the really harsh temperatures of the summer months. And so if you are wanting to do some of those outdoor activities, then you won't have to be sweating and dripping in sweat if you are wanting to just stay outside and enjoy the nice temperature without hitting a dust storm every now and then in the springtime, or like you would in the spring. So I hope that you have learned about the Lubbock weather. I know that I get tons of questions about it, and if you have any more questions about what it's like here in the Lubbock area, depending on what time of year you want to come visit, let me know. I'd be more than happy to talk with you in more detail about the Lubbock weather, and depending on what house you're looking for, if you're wanting to build or if you're wanting an existing home, I'd love to help you answer those questions as well. And until next time, I'll see you around.